Eric, and judges do have a lot of power. The Good Samaritan who tried to save this victim's life is still traumatized. He and others say it shouldn't have to take someone dying to have some accountability. The brutality shown in the surveillance video is shocking. We're not showing the full attack. In broad daylight, prosecutors say Aaron Folk is seen bludgeoning Rodney Peterman with a metal pole. Even when the 66-year-old fell to the ground unconscious, police say Folk kept beating him.
I apologize for not being there. One more club strike earlier.
Good Samaritan Lauren Page is seen running to intervene the attack happening at 3rd and Pike in downtown Seattle, an area notorious for violence and drugs.
It should not happen in any city. We should do something about it.
8 days before that attack, Folk was released from jail after being arrested for threatening to kill a security officer at the Pierce Metro Transit in Tacoma. He has an assault history from Idaho. Pierce County prosecutors wanted him held on a $10,000 bail, but Judge Philip Thornton released him without bail, ordering him not to commit any crimes.
We can't just let people out if they're harming our community, if they're victimizing other people. We've got to have measures in place. We've got to have accountability.
This week, SPD Chief Adrian Diaz voicing his concern after his undercover detectives finally busted a 16-year-old armed fentanyl dealer twice in the same area at 3rd and Pike. But according to court documents, the first time the teen was arrested in July, a judge released him to his mom. 2 weeks later, police say the dealer went back to sell more fentanyl. The second time the teen was arrested, he was released on electronic home monitoring.
That's a huge concern. But to have somebody where actually they carried a gun in both cases and they're dealing fentanyl, they're a harm to our community.
No, I didn't steal nothing, man.
That's the concern. Judges who allow repeat criminals to return to the streets ahead of their trials without bail, then they commit more crimes.
They have a lot of power and discretion, and they make really important decisions.
We spoke with retired Seattle Judge Shirley Wilson. She's not related to any of these cases, but helping us understand how these decisions are made. The King County Superior Court says court rules consider several factors that start with the presumption of a person's innocence and release. Unless they're not likely to appear in court, they're likely to commit a violent crime or interfere with the administration of justice. That discretion isn't always easy.
I'm going to say from a judge's perspective is one of our biggest fears as well. I have to do each case individually. And sometimes the bottom line comes down to, what does my gut tell me? Do I believe that they're going to show up or not? Do I believe they're going to commit a crime that's violent or not?
A call for the courts to do more to keep violent offenders from the streets.
It's taken a brutal beating in the middle of the street to get some kind of legal justice. I guess I'm confused about the legal justice system.
I'm Molly and Preston. These firefighters, they race out of their stations to provide medical care or to knock down flames, but too often they are targeted by the very people they're trying to help. While many regard firefighters as heroes for the risks they take to protect others, letters from the president of the Seattle Firefighters Union show they are frequently threatened and assaulted on calls.
Who realized until we got the letter from the fire union that it was this dire.
Union President Kenny Stewart says there have been at least 40 assaults since April 1st. One firefighter was hit by a large rock while putting out an encampment fire. Firefighters on a medical call were chased around their rig when the patient tried to stab them.
They're, like I said, they're being assaulted when they're going on service calls. And like I said, that's something new, whether it be mental illness or drugs or whatever the case might be.
The union president references several attacks committed by people living on the streets. It includes crews that tried to put out an encampment fire, but instead were threatened by people wielding steel rebar clubs. He says a woman firefighter was kicked and slapped by homeless people.
They're going to have to do something better to protect themselves.
The union president is calling on city leaders to address this disturbing trend before there is a tragedy. KOMO News requested interviews with the mayor, fire chief, police chief, and a council member, but got only written statements. The mayor says he is continuing to work with urgency and compassion to address the homelessness crisis and public safety issues related to encampments. Councilmember Lisa Herbold says, I unequivocally condemn acts of violence and I support the safety of all in public service, especially first responders who put themselves in harm's way. But what new measures are being taken remains unclear.
So they do serious work, and this is just another aspect of the dangers that they're facing in today's times.
Yeah, good morning. We are waiting to hear more information from officials, but we do have majority of the information. Here's what we know. A woman in her mid-30s shot and killed overnight here in this neighborhood. Around 3 o'clock this morning, the Snohomish County Sheriff's Office received a 911 call that a man's wife had been shot in the head. Officials tell us the husband told them 3 black male suspects broke into the home. An altercation occurred, and that's when shots rang out. The husband and their child were inside the home at the time. They were able to escape and call for help from the neighbors. A very active investigation.
Certainly there could be. At this time, we have 3 unknown suspects who have entered a residence, and we have a victim who's deceased.
And that is what officials are telling us about a threat to the public. They also say the husband claims one of the suspects was wearing a mask. Another one may have had his face painted. And she says that there have been 3 other home invasions in the area, not specifically in this neighborhood, but unincorporated Everett. However, right now, police are not connecting any of those incidents at this time. Now, we do know the husband has minor injuries. He is still here at the scene and is cooperating with police as detectives try to gather as much information as they can. The child who was inside the home is also okay, was actually just taken away by a family member. We'll continue to keep you updated as we learn more.
Before the school year begins, medical experts are calling on parents to talk with their kids about the dangers of vaping.
Vaping often increases when school is back in session. KOMO's Holly Menino brings us the warnings from doctors in this back-to-school report.
Doctors call vaping an epidemic amongst our youth.
They are using these products, and many, 1 out of 4 in some statistics, if not higher, and they're getting younger and younger using these products.
If you have a child as young as 10, doctors say now is the time to talk with them about the harmful effects of electronic cigarettes.
Oftentimes, parents are prepared to have these conversations with their high schoolers. They're going off to high school with a lot of peer pressure. But youth usage of the electronic cigarette is getting younger and younger and younger, middle schoolers, even elementary school kids. So by all means, to every parent out there, regardless of age, if your child is going back into school, I would just strongly encourage having the conversations of good behavior, and one of them would be to avoid e-cigarettes.
To help start the conversation, the American Lung Association and the Ad Council are launching a new series of public service announcements.
So if you want to talk to your kids about the dangers of vaping, you have to get it trending, right, Backpack Kid?
Let's do it.
Medical experts say e-cigarettes contain harmful and addictive ingredients, including nicotine and formaldehyde, which is known to cause cancer. Nicotine exposure during adolescence can harm the developing brain and can get kids hooked.
The dangers of vaping, keep in mind, these kids are young, their lungs are still developing, and if we are robbing them of the potential to fully develop, then you're going to have a generation of new patients upon us. That's my biggest concern.
From 2016 to 2020, rates of e-cigarette use by teens increased 73%. Currently, 2.1 million kids use e-cigarettes, and thousands of kids start vaping every day, a trend doctors are desperate to see reversed. Holly Menino, KOMO News.
KOMO is your back-to-school headquarters. Scan that QR code that you see right there on your screen right now to get to our website, and there you'll find all of our back-to-school stories in the back-to-school drop-down. We'll have new stories right here every morning and evening until the last district starts school again.
Hi, everyone. I'm Preston Phillips from KOMO News. Thanks for checking out the KOMO YouTube channel. You can see more of our videos right here by clicking on the video links for more news from the Seattle area and Western Washington. Oh, and don't forget to click the subscribe button below so you don't miss our YouTube updates.